Welcome to Global View. Today we have an immense pleasure of welcoming a true legend of American football, someone whose name commands respect both on and off the field. He spent his entire career with the Chicago Bears, where he became one of the most feared and admired linebackers in the game. Known for his unmatched athleticism and leadership and relentless drive, he was named NFL Defensive Player of the Year and later inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Such a pleasure to have you here with us today. Welcome to Brian Urlacher.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Brian. Well, you don't need much introduction, but you struck the attention of many people because as a celebrity, you became very vocal about your political views quite recently, and you endorsed candidates as well. So what made you step in the political arena, and why you decided your voice had to be heard?
Yeah, growing up, I had no idea what politics were. We didn't know if we were Democrats, Republicans. I grew up in New Mexico. All I know is everyone went to work every day and worked hard. That's all I know. And then when I played in the NFL, it didn't matter either what side you were on because it wasn't talked about until 2016 is when you kind of had to start choosing. So I chose. I feel like I chose the right side. But, I feel like when the more people spoke out, the more hate they got from people. And I welcomed it because like I said, I was on the right side of that. So I feel like I was doing the right thing. I stood for what was right. We got a chance to meet President Trump in 2020 at the White House. We flew out there. My whole family met him. You hear all these things about him, and you don't really know what to believe until you meet him for yourself. So once I got a chance to shake his hand and spend some time with him, unbelievable. And now I was on board before then. I was definitely on board once I got a chance to meet him. I play golf with him a couple of times now, but I'm a big fan of his. I'm a big fan of what he's doing for our country. After what we went through the last 4 years, this is a great turnaround for us.
No, absolutely, Brian. And I, being that I was born and raised in Chicago, I followed your career very, very closely. You were the generation of the Chicago Bears that really epitomized leadership, strength, a winning spirit, unity, and just taking no prisoners. And I think that's a lot of what President Trump, his team, MAGA, and America First really stands about, and really about re-embodying the American spirit. So the question I had to you, Brian, is how do you compare your playing career with the Chicago Bears versus how you see the political gridlock today? Do you think it's a similar type of game of inches and yards, or do you think the game's a bit different politically versus in the gridiron?
I think it's a little both, honestly, because President Trump's playing the long game, right? Because he can't get his stuff done immediately. It takes so long to do anything. I think that's why people are a little frustrated because they're like, nothing's getting done. There's a lot of stuff getting done. It just takes time for him to do it, to implement it, because there was so much bad stuff done by the last administration. He has to undo all of that to redo what he wants to do. But yeah, football is right now, right? Everything happens so quick. And then I guess with politics, it's kind of a long game, but also you want results right away. I love the leadership President Trump has shown. He stands up there and he takes all the questions. He stands in front of the cameras, doesn't care, and he stands for himself. He stands for us. Takes all the heat. I love that about him because he's not scared to get up there and tell you what he thinks and what he's going to do, and he follows up and does it. A lot of people don't like that. There's about 48% of the country that probably doesn't like it, but you know what? It's too bad.
One thing about President Trump, he likes winners. So I'm sure it's very about your endorsement. And there is, for me, at least from my point of view, there is a losing aspect of the Republican Party, and they're not team players. There are many rhinos over there. So
yes,
as a strategic mind that know how to win a game, what would you recommend to the Republican Party to keep the Trump legacy onward?
Do what you say you're going to do. They ran on a bunch of things that he's doing right now, but you got the people that, like you said, the rhinos who are up there not voting for his policies, not trying to get his stuff passed through Congress and the Senate. It's frustrating because we have a small advantage right now in both houses. And we got to take advantage of it. It's funny, I hear myself talk about politics because I had no idea about this stuff. Like I said, 6-7 years ago, it was irrelevant to me. And now I understand what's going on to some point. But they just got to do what they say they're going to do. I feel like if President Trump does that and the Republicans get on board, which they have for the most part, but there are still some rhinos over there, like you said, who just aren't on board. So either get them out or get them on board.
Totally agree with you.
No, I agree, Brian. Brian, why did you decide to go? See, what I've noticed over the last years or so, people like Aaron Rodgers, who are currently playing in the NFL, Shaquan Butler, I think he was the running back for
Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley.
Saquon, yes.
Saquon Barkley. He's currently just, I think, won the Super Bowl last year. Currently playing football. He's out and supporting President Trump. Aaron Rodgers, obviously. Why do you think that some of these players, including yourself, have decided to come out and support the president, even at a time when it might have been politically sensitive to you, your career, and some NFL players' career?
So for me, it's different. For them, I think it's cool and it's fun. Plus, he's the president of the United States. Right now, he's the hip thing. He's the guy. He's polarizing. Everything he does is under a microscope. And you may make yourself a little more popular by doing that, or unpopular, right? Because that's just the way it goes. For me, I thought it was the right thing to do. I didn't do it for any personal gain. I mean, my career was over. I don't need any personal gain. I thought it was the right thing to do. And I got tired of it being okay to come out on the other side, and nothing happened, because the right doesn't say much about people that come out on the left side. A big deal. But when we come out and say we support President Trump, huge deal, right? You get all the hate, you get the direct messages on Instagram, you get people calling you out on the media, which, whether it's right or wrong, it's not fair. I know that much, because I mean, it's what we believe in. So there's nothing wrong with believing in something. But I think it is a lot cooler now to endorse him, or maybe they don't endorse him, but to spend time with him is really cool to be seen with him, and that gets a lot of coverage, and I think people like that.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. Donald Trump has this star energy, this star power energy, and I'm sure you share it with him. So he's
a machine. That guy is a machine. He does not sleep. He doesn't. He never slows down. I need my sleep, so I can't. I mean, he's 78 years old. He just goes and goes and goes. It's amazing how he keeps his schedule.
But he also talks common sense, right? You don't need to be conservative or a Democrat to make a difference between a man and a woman, or all this insanity about men in women's sport, like a people that lead in the sports scenery. About that. I mean, as a woman, honestly, I feel offended. I mean,
you should. Why is it even a debate? A woman is a woman and a man is a man. There is not. Well, if you feel like you're this, no. If you have a thing, you're a guy. If you don't, if you have the other thing, you're a woman. That's really all. You're born with what you're born with, or if you can have a child, you're a woman. It's just frustrating to hear. The best question, I watch Charlie Kirk all the time on some of the things he does. And he's like, "What is a woman?" They lose their mind. Why would you ask me that question? It's a simple question. Even when you see these things going on in Congress, they ask the person who they're interviewing, "What is a woman?" They lose their minds, and it's not that hard of a question, in my opinion. I saw someone ask President Trump that the other day. He answered it normally. It's an easy question to answer if you have common sense, like you say. The men and women sports thing drives me crazy. I watched a thing today about the softball pitcher in Minnesota, guy 6'1", pitching, striking out 9-10 people a game. They're talking about how tall he is and how long his it's just different, because we are men. There are certain things we do better than women. It's not, number one, it's not fair. And if I had a daughter who had to be forced to play against a man, I would not be okay with it, and I would definitely raise hell about it.
So what are we going to do about this, Brian? I mean, should Congress get involved? Should the president be more vocal about, because this is a big deal. It's actually for the last 4 to 8 years almost, there's been this new agenda of men and women's sports, trying to change gender. This is something that I think is completely crazy. Obviously, Simona does too as a woman.
Yeah.
But I think voices like yours, especially given that you're a massive powerhouse in the sports world, speaking about this, I think it's going to resonate. So, I mean, really, what do you think has to happen here to solve this once and for all?
Well, President Trump's done a great job of being very vocal about it. He's done the signing of the bill that day at the White House is amazing with all those women behind him. But you look at, this is a mental illness, in my opinion. You look at, who wants to change their kid's gender at 5 years old? I just don't understand how your kid. I have a daughter who's a tomboy. We never thought about making her a boy. We let her dress. We let her work. She wore her hat backwards. She wore her cool shorts. She had her skateboard. She was a tomboy. And now she's a woman. So it's crazy how they think that they can sway their, and it's in the schools now. They're trying to sway them a little bit in school with the stuff they're teaching. They're getting that out right now, but. I just don't get it. It's a common sense thing, like you said. I just don't see how you can push this on make someone think they're a different sex. If you want to, like I said, be a tomboy, or if you're a little feminine as a man, that's fine. No problem. I have no problem with that. But don't mutilate these kids before they hit puberty. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, no, it's child abuse. I mean, I can
It is.
You know, when I was a baby, I thought to be so many things, like an astronaut or something. Not for that, my parents sent me space, you know.
Yeah, for sure. They'll send you out of here.
That's insane. Like right now, for people, a woman is someone who wears a skirt, a wig, and fake eyelashes, right? So it's
yes,
the entire world. And
well, how about the pronoun thing? I don't understand that.
Oh my God, I hate it.
If you call someone by the wrong pronoun, you're the worst person ever. Well, how are you supposed to know?
You're
and
fastest.
Yes, and just because you want to be called that doesn't mean I'm going to call you that. I'm going to call you where I think you are.
Brian, the common sense, that's what I think America's been lacking for so many years. It's back with a vengeance under President Trump.
Yes.
With personal, heroes of mine like you speaking about this type of stuff. I think it's very important for voices like yours. And also, I want to go local politics for a second in Chicago.
Okay.
Obviously, are a massive name in Chicago. I don't know how connected you are to the community there anymore, to the city, but every time we fly back to Chicago, you're still all over
the billboards. Yes, yeah, I got those billboards everywhere, George. Yep.
Yeah. Hey, well,
you took some inspiration, by the way.
Hey, it happens to the best of us.
Hey, it does. It does. It's going to happen to the best of us, but with what you're looking great, so that's all that matters.
Thank you.
But look, the first question is, are you connected still to the city of Chicago? When you go back, how are you treated when you're back in Chicago?
Yeah, I love Chicago. My brother and sister still live there. My brother is the mayor of Mettawa, which is a little village up north of the city. It's got like 550 people in it. He's been the mayor there for like 15 years, 13 years. He just won re-election again. But he's the mayor. So I go back there. I have 4 nieces that live there. My brother has 2 and my sister has 2. So I go back there quite often. I love it. I mean, this time of year, especially when it finally gets warm, it's my favorite time. The people are amazing. The fans are amazing. I'm actually going back next week for a couple of days to play some golf. I enjoy being there. I'm such a sissy. I can't live in the cold weather anymore. We moved to Arizona, and I grew up in New Mexico, so not far, but I just can't do the cold weather. The politics do not agree with me either. What's happened in downtown Chicago and what the last 2 mayors have done. We thought Lightfoot was bad, and then it got worse with this guy. It's embarrassing what they're doing to the people down there. But I think people are opening their eyes as well. That they're starting to see what's going on.
So do you think there has to be some sort of change to get that city back to greatness like it used to be?
Well, if they keep doing what they're doing, they're going to get voted out. I think there has to be change. And I mean, if you get a moderate Democrat in there, I think they could do a lot of change. I mean, I don't think it'll ever go red. I really don't believe that. I don't think they'll ever vote red down there. But if you can get a moderate Democrat in there who can have some common sense and do some thing, the immigration thing, the illegal aliens they have there, but they're not illegal aliens. They won't refer to them as that, but they're spending all the city's budget on them. They got to change that. They have to make some rules or deport them or something. Agree. Just let Tom Homan come in and do his thing. Everything will be fixed.
You as a celebrity, your voice has a power to talk to people, and the people will listen to you. Do you think you're gonna get involved into trying to make Chicago great again, or is some sort of a project you have in the long run? Let me take the cold we can handle, but the politics we can change.
Yeah, I dealt with the cold. I mean, I didn't have a choice, so I dealt with it. I just don't know how. I mean, politicians are a different breed. They speak well. I have a hard time not saying what I'm thinking, so I don't think I would be a good politician, if that makes sense. I mean, I could definitely support somebody and maybe help them. If I could help in any way, try that. Jay Feely, ex-NFL player, is running for Congress out here in Arizona, and I'm gonna join in his campaign a little bit, try and help out. But I just, like I said, I have a hard time not saying what I'm thinking, so I don't think that's very good for politics because they have a tendency to kind of. That's why we like Trump so much, because he's not a politician; he's a businessman. Yeah. He says usually the right thing. He's maybe not always what he's thinking, or maybe he is what he's thinking. I don't know. He's very blunt and right in your face, and I think that's what a lot of people like about him and don't like as well, I guess.
And you can awaken a lot of people talking your mind and direct them to choose the right people, because people want common sense in the end, right?
I would think so.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, you would think that, but then you watch some of this news that people are talking. I mean, it's a handful of people, right? It's a small majority or minority of people that actually think that, but the problem is they own all the news stations that put all that stuff out, right? You know, you can watch Fox and that you maybe get what's really going on. Then you watch, I just watch a little bit of other stations just to see what kind of crap they're pushing, to see what, you know, what they're saying against my guy or the right, because it is comical sometimes to watch what they're saying out there that it has nothing to do with what's actually going on.
Insane.
It's completely insane.
It is.
Brian, what projects are you currently working on in terms of charities? Are you? I know you're very involved with charities, different groups like that. So can you tell our audience a little bit about what you've been working on post playing?
Yeah, wife and I have gotten really involved in some animal charities. Honestly, we got 4 dogs now. So our kids are old enough now; they're out of the house. They're all in college or moved on to other things. So now we have dogs. We've always had dogs, but now we have 4, and we have 2 donkeys. We have a baby sheep who we're bottle feeding right now, and she just went and got another sheep so little man could have a friend because he was getting lonely. Anyway, super involved in that. You know, I don't do a lot, George. Honestly, I play a lot of golf here in Arizona. I work out. I'm a routine guy, so I get up every day. I go out and pick up donkey poop, and I feed them, and then I lift for like 25 minutes. And I come in and ride the Peloton or go ride my mountain bike, and then I get in the sauna, get in the cold tub, and then I either go to the golf course or run errands with my wife. I'm such a regimented person that when I'm home, that's what I want to do. Travel, and we do travel quite a bit. You know, our kids all move back to the Midwest. How about that? We get out of there because we don't like the cold, and they all choose schools in the Midwest where we freeze our butts off. It's unreal.
They're like a paradox. It sounds great project. I love that. We love animals.
Yeah, they're the best. I mean,
they're so much better than people company.
I mean, they're happy every day, right? I mean, all they want to do is spend a little time with them. I didn't have a dog when I played because I didn't think it was fair to them for me to be gone so much. But when I retired, we got some. My kids are super animal people. We had like 60 animals when I lived in Chicago. I had 10 acres of meadow there. So I had donkeys, llamas, cows, chickens, turkeys. We had all kinds of stuff, man. It was a petting zoo basically in our backyard. It was nuts.
Brian, because I know a lot of our local Chicago fans, and I know a lot of just regular American fans are going to want to ask you, want to know your opinion about the Super Bowl that you were part of.
Yeah.
How did that feel, bringing the Chicago Bears on your shoulders, the city of Chicago, and probably making America and the world a Chicago Bear fan in that year? I think it was 2006.
2006. Man, it was unreal. You know, you win in Chicago and get that far. You know, it's amazing. The support. You know, I remember playing the NFC Championship game. They have all the buildings lit up. They say "Go Bears" on them. You know, it's just the fan support is amazing. We didn't win the game, which was disappointing. You know, we got there and Peyton ended up beating us there at the Colts. But that season was unbelievable, and every season was fun. You know, there are some years we stunk, but our fans still showed up no matter what. I'll tell you that much. No matter how cold it was, no matter how bad we played, Soldier Field was sold out every game. But I can't say enough about the fans there in Chicago. But that season, 2000, you know, Devin Hester returned 7 kicks for touchdowns. That takes one back in the Super Bowl. The NFC Championship, we're getting the George House Trophy at Miss McCaskey is receiving the George House Trophy at Soldier Field, and it starts snowing. Just such a magical season all the way around. So many good things happen. Just couldn't cap it off with that win Super Bowl.
That's amazing. I mean, I'm Italian, grew up in Italy, but you know, Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears were famous everywhere.
Everywhere.
So inspired a lot of sporty people in there.
I just went to Rome for the first time last year.
Oh, really?
I can't wait to go back. It was beautiful. I'm not a world traveler. My wife is very traveled. Me, not so much, but she got me to go. Wow.
Good
Unbelievable.
choice, good wife.
The food is unbelievable. The people were so nice. It was right before the Bears played in London last year, and then we went to London for the Bears game, so it worked out. But I really enjoyed it. I will say that people were amazing.
And you have to go back because
we're going back. We're definitely going back.
Italy loves it.
Yeah, I'm on board now to go back whenever she wants. Don't tell her that.
We follow sports abroad in America as well, and of course George is a Chicago.
Yes, sports fan. Yes, Cubs or White Sox, George?
White Sox.
Okay. So I grew up a Cubs fan because of WGN in the summer and TBS for the Braves. So those are my 1 and 2 teams. And then I got to go to Chicago and watch the Cubs firsthand. But those 2 TV stations kind of molded my baseball teams right there.
But even though I lived about a mile from Wrigley Field, and I did like the Cubs at some point, I've actually gone to Cubs games with her. I've never been to White Sox.
Okay.
So there's some love there, but
Yeah.
there's some love. It's
you root for them all, right? You like to see them all do well because you are from there. I root for them all as well. I don't watch much hockey. I grew up in New Mexico, so we didn't have a hockey team, but I do like to see all the teams win there.
A good American experience.
For sure.
Football game with a hot dog, a beer. I had the time of my life.
But here's another important question about food then, Brian. You mentioned about Rome and their good food over there. What about deep dish versus thin crust? Where do you stand on that ultimately?
You're gonna hate me. So I don't like. I'm a thin crust guy, and we actually have a Lou Malnati's right here by my house here in Arizona, which is amazing thin crust. But my favorite Pizza Hut. This is horrible. I grew up. That's what we had where I grew up, so that's what I like. But I have. Have you had Aurelio's in Chicago? Aurelio's Pizza.
Yeah.
So that place right there is my favorite. Their thin crust pizza is amazing, and there was one down at training camp that we used to go to. Probably 3 days a week. I would go there after practice in the evenings during training camp. But yeah, there's so many good places to eat in Chicago. It's amazing.
Well, Aurelio's is going to see their thin crust go through the roof.
They should, because it's amazing. Their sauce or whatever they put on there is unbelievable.
Deep dish is a lasagna to me. It's so big.
It's just I eat one piece. I'm like, dang, I'm so full. It's so heavy in my belly that I want to eat like 10 pieces of the thin crust.
You can move. It's crazy.
Yeah, it just feels so heavy.
Well, what do you think is gonna be the legacy of? Do you think these 4 years will finally wake up all these TV star, politicals, all legacy celebrity like yourself in the sport? Mm-hmm. Do you think we will finally go back to common sense, or will keep being brainwashed by the so-called minority? Now, to me, they're minority.
Yeah. Well, I think his legacy is going to be cemented in this 4 years. And you look what JD Vance is, 39 years old, 40 years old. If it sets up the way that I think it's going to, and then JD takes over for the next 8 years, and how smart is that guy? Just listening to him talk and the way he's kind of implemented it, and Trump rubbed off on him with the way he speaks as well. But I think that we're going to be in the right direction. And people are going to start to see what it's supposed to be like here in America, I think, as opposed to what it was the last 4 years. And, rely on the government. Government should take care of you, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not the way it's supposed to. We're supposed to take care of ourselves. We don't need the government to take care of us. Less government is better for us. It's amazing what Doge has been doing, with all the waste, fraud, and abuse that never happened, supposedly, but it's happening. It's crazy to see how much money these politicians are making on the side through the money laundering. They're finally getting called out for it. Like, it's exciting, and I hope things start happening legally with that as well. But because that's when it'll be really the telltale all for me.
So you think JD Vance is doing a good job, and he's looking like the next leader into 2028? Is he looking good?
I like him. I think he says all the right things. He stands up for what he believes in. I think in that position you have to. I think learning these 4 years under Trump's going to be great. I was surprised President Trump picked him when he first did. But you never know who he's going to pick because he has such a big mesh pot of people he can pick from. But when I heard him speak and them together, I mean, it was a great choice. He goes off on all these events overseas and speaks in front of these people. He just seems to be very firm in what he says, and I believe when he says something, I believe it. So I hope he's the guy for the next 8 years after Trump steps down.
One thing, Trump knows how to pick his guys. He picked my guy too. So
there you go. Yes, you're exactly right. He doesn't pick someone who doesn't think can win. That's for sure. He wants. You said it earlier. He likes winners, and he wants to back people that can win. So he knows what he's doing in that aspect for sure.
I trust him 100% because I know.
Yes.
Who can be the host of The Apprentice? He knows also how to win, right?
So, yes, I mean, he'll leave us in good hands. I believe that, and if I'm sure there'll be some people trying to challenge JD Vance from the Republicans. Obviously, there always are, but the guy that Trump backs is going to have the inside track, I would think.
Brian, you said something really interesting about Trump as a person at the personal level. When I worked on his campaign, I saw the personal side and the genius behind the TV appearances.
Yep.
Golfed with the president. You've met the president in the Oval Office. What was your impression of the candidate, the man, the president, when you had the opportunity to sit down with him and have some words and to exchange some rounds of golf?
He's fun. Number one, he's fun. He's a normal dude. He's like hanging out with us. Just if we're golfing, it's not like you're playing with the president, but it's like the whole time, like, damn, I'm playing golf with the president. This is amazing. But it's he's conversating with you. He's telling stories. He's fun to be around. The coolest thing is we went to the White House. I had my wife, her parents, and all three of my kids, and a couple buddy of ours. And we weren't sure we're going to get a chance to meet him that day because he had something else going on. He flew in as a Marine One, where he flies on a helicopter. and he lands right there on the lawn, and he walks in. He tells us to come over there to get all the media there, and he shakes everyone's hand. And all day long we couldn't go to the Oval Office because it was his. And then he first thing he says is, "You guys want to go to the Oval Office?" We're like, "Hell yeah, we want to go to the Oval Office." So he spent 45 minutes with us in his office. You know, he gave us souvenirs. He's just so generous and nice with his time. But he's so impressive in person. You know, he's just so nice, and he's a humble man. You know, I feel like he says all the right things, but just he's fun to be around. That's the thing I took away from playing golf, especially playing golf with him. He's fun, and he's good, by the way, annoyingly good at golf.
He could be a champion or two. I mean, he's pro.
Yeah.
He's definitely pro, right?
Yeah, his ball always ends up in the fairway somehow. I don't know if it's a Secret Service putting it in there, or if he just hits it that far, but the ball always ends up in the fairway past my ball.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. But no one ever says anything. He says, "Hey, great shot, Mr. President."
That's a good time story to tell.
Yes.
Brian, I wanted to ask you a question on the last NFL draft that we just had. What were your thoughts on the NFL draft? How did the Bears do? How did some other teams do? Do you see any ultimate stars rising in this year's class, or where do you see the talent at?
Yeah, it's so hard to tell, right? I mean, the draft is a spectacle now. You know, when I got drafted in 2000, I was sitting on the couch in New Mexico, and the Bears called me. I was the 9th pick, so I would think I would have been invited to the draft these days. But it's such a spectacle now. The NFL knows how to make money, so they're going to put on a show for everybody. But yeah, I don't. The Bears draft pick, I didn't know a lot about the guy. Obviously, the Bears did. They thought that he was the right guy for them. It surprised me, but good for him, right? Good for the kid for getting drafted in the first round and busting his butt to get that high of a draft pick. I'm trying to think. Cam Ward, I like him, the kid in Miami. Tennessee needed a quarterback, so they drafted him. I like Genty, the kid from Boise State. So I'm a Mountain West guy. I played in the Mountain West. He played in the Mountain West. Mm-hmm. But I hope he's going to be an impact guy right away. I like the way he runs the football, and he's humble. And I like the guys who get up there and they think they're teammates, they think they're coaches, their family, stuff like that. They don't talk about me. They talk about everybody else. I enjoy that. But yeah, it's hard to tell the first round picks because you just don't know. For me, I would go, if I had a first round pick, I didn't need a quarterback, it would be a D lineman from the SEC. Those dudes are different. They're different football players down there in that conference.
Brian, I was going to ask, so the NFL during your playing days was very defense oriented. I mean, you had some of the best defenses. I mean, obviously the Bears have been a historically defensive team in nature, but now the NFL, just like the NBA, by the way, seems to be about offense. Do you like this change that the NFL is really implementing with the rules changes and how it's all offense oriented, or do you think things are going to change a bit?
I do not like the rules at all. Yeah. I think it's not fair to defensive players. Everything is swayed toward the offense. I get it because fans want to see touchdowns. They want to see quarterbacks healthy and play. I understand it. But you have to protect the defensive players as well. They make a lot of money out there as well. They affect the games. I do not like the kickoff rule. I can't stand it. I don't understand. I feel like I'm watching arena football or something when there's a kickoff now because they line up at the 30 or whatever it is. It just looks different. I don't like change. So it's different. But the rules are not a fan of it. You protecting the offensive guys, which I agree with, but you need to protect defensive guys as well. I don't know how a cornerback plays defense in the NFL anymore with all the holding calls and the illegal contacts they call. It's very frustrating. I love watching football. I'm a huge college fan. My son plays college football, so obviously I watch that. But I'm a huge football fan, but it gets harder and harder to watch every year.
If I was thinking, if you would compare this new administration to a football team, which would be the three top players?
That's a good one.
The three top players of the administration, or
the administration?
Oh,
administration.
That's a good one.
All right. Okay, taking out President Trump.
Yes, it's not.
All right.
He's a
all right.
leader, so.
Tom Homan, Kash Patel. Those two dudes are badasses, and I got to pick a third. I like Kristi Noem as well. I think she's done a great job. She's always out there doing something. But Tom Homan, that dude Kash does not mess around either. Those two guys right there, they get things done, number one. They tell you they're going to do something, and guess what? They do it. So I appreciate that. But you look at his whole cabinet, they're unbelievable. It was so hard to get them all confirmed because the left did not want any of them in there. They wanted none of those guys in there or women. But they've done a great job. And like I said, they've done what they said they're going to do.
Yeah, true.
Brian, I couldn't have said it better than that. And I completely agree with that all-star team. I think with President Trump, leadership starts with him, and then the personnel that he's picked really has shaken up America, it's shaken up the world, and I think we're making great changes and leaps and bounds. So,
Like, how about Besant the last couple, like watching him speak as well the last couple of weeks with all these tariffs going on and the negotiation, listen to him talk. I'm like, damn, this dude's awesome as well. You know, you hear them talk, every person, and Caroline Levitt, by the way. Oh, man, she does not mess around either. I love watching those press conferences. It's amazing. I used to be like, oh gosh, KJP's on, I can't watch her talk. And now I'm like, I can't wait to watch Caroline Levitt speak, because she tells the truth and she calls people out when they don't ask the right questions.
She does it in a great way. I mean,
classy.
Really classy.
And she doesn't storm off the stage. She doesn't skip questions. She's like, oh, refer to someone else. But she's like, I'll get the answer, or she answers it right there. It's amazing how prepared she is.
No, I really like her. She's definitely a winner as well.
Yes, definitely.
Totally. So, Brian, I got a last question for you. I know you said that you might never jump into politics, but you seem like you actually have the right kind of temperament, the type of winning spirit, and you say it how it is. Would you ever really consider, I know you said no initially, but as I'm hearing you speak, you seem more and more politically inclined, very involved with what the situation's looking like. Would you ever consider something?
I don't think so, George. I just don't think, like I said, the temperament, and I don't think I'm smart enough to be. No, there's a lot of things that go on when I'm watching. I'm like, what does that even mean? That I don't understand what's going on, and I don't want to understand it. Truthfully, I like being a fan of this administration. I like supporting them, and I'm going to be vocal. I don't care. I like I said, I bring on the naysayers. I like it. I like arguing people about what's going on, but I just don't think I have the temperament to be in. And those terms are long, 2 to 4 years, or however long they're serving. I'm such a go person that I don't want to have the next 2 or 4 years of my life planned out for me. I want to be able to do different things and go. I'm very selfish when it comes to my time, so I want to be on my schedule. Very selfish about that. And my kids, obviously, I do what my kids want to do, but when it comes to that, I want to be on my schedule.
Makes sense. Brian, where people can find you and follow you on social media?
Instagram. I think it's B Urlacher at 54. So I'm not really sure exactly the handle. I'm not a huge social media guy. I do love watching Instagram. When I'm in the sauna, I watch reels and I go on there and look at all this stuff. But I'm not a huge social media guy. But I do like to go back and forth with some people, and I have a lot of friends on there, so I can keep up with them.
Great. Well, sure to follow you and your political views as well, because I think they're very smart on the contrary.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like I'm on the right side for sure.
Absolutely. This is the end of the era of the politically correct. We want the politically true.
Yes, that's a great way to say it as well. I like that. Yes. I like it. Common sense is back.
Right.
Common sense is back. Brian Urlacher, thanks so much for joining Global View. It was a real pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for having me. Nice talking to y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.